All right, so wow, we've come around to the Torah portion Re'eh again. This Torah portion that begins at Devarim at Deuteronomy 11:26, goes all the way to 16:17. But let's consider what Yehusha had to say at Mark 29:31 before we take a look, because if we're going to interpret and fulfill what Re'eh has to tell us, then we have to keep what Yehusha had in mind. And we're going to find that this is actually, everything that he says here comes out of Deuteronomy, but it says, Yehusha answered him, the first of all commandments is, Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah is our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. He's asked, what's the greatest commandment? So he says, the first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah is our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you will love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like it, namely this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandments greater than these. And then at Matthew 22:40, he adds, on these two commandments hang all of the Torah and the prophets. So, this Torah portion of Re'eh really brings that to the surface. I'm going to read something that's not on the notes, that something that came to mind, and it's Deuteronomy, Devarim 11:1, and 11:1 specifically. It says, and you will love Yahuwah your Elohim, and guard his charge, even his laws, and his right rulings, and his commands always. And in Hebrew, it says, Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha. Okay, remember the difference between Elohecha and Elohechem. Okay, so this is, you will love Yahuwah your Elohim, as in, this is an individual thing. He's not talking to everyone, he's talking to each individual person. Okay, so, Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha, Beshamarto, Meshamaratu, Vechukate, Vemishpati, Vemitzvote. Okay? Oh, and then the last part of it is Kol, and listen to this. Kol Chayi Moyim. Okay? Basically, we read it as always, but literally Kol, what it's saying is every day. Okay? Kol Chayom is basically what it's saying, every day. And if we take the word Yom and we look at what Yom actually means, yeah, okay, sure. We say Yom means day, but remember, Hebrew words have half a dozen different definitions. Yom also means an unspecified period of time. So basically, when we say Kol Hayom, we're saying in every infinite second. Okay? So, something that we always think about. But consider what it starts off with. It starts off with Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha. Ve'achava. Achava is a word for love. It's interesting. The numerical value of Achava is 13. So, Echad is also holds a numerical value of 13. To be one, but it also means to be in unity with. Okay? It says, Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha. Okay? So when we say Ve'achava et Yahuwah, then it is through the Aleph and the Tav that we are to Ve'achava. We are to love through the Torah. And in order for us to be in agreement with, and even in unity with, which is another meaning of Echad, we must do it through the word of Elohim. But it is Yahuwah Elohecha. It is an individual decision to do that. Okay? I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. Okay? So, very important idea here when we consider that the first of all commandments is Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. First commandment is to know where I am in my relationship with my Elohim, and to be able to answer, do I love my Elohim with all of my heart, my soul, my mind, and my strength? Well, how do I do that? Other than to recite the Shema in the morning, midday, and in the evening, where I'm examining myself. We've talked about the Shema more than simply what it says here, that it's actually a formula for self-examination. But we consider, I'm getting way ahead of myself, so let's just go on into the deals, and we'll pick up where I left off, okay? So we start our Torah portion. It says, "Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse." It starts with the word re'eh, not with the word hene. Hene is a word that actually means to behold. It starts with the word re'eh. That means to pay attention, to consider, to closely watch, to observe. But this word also means to cling to something. So this is where our friend Rashi kind of comes in. He interprets re'eh as meaning to cling to his ways, as opposed to simply the idea of clinging to him. How do we cling to something that we cannot touch? How do we cling to something that we can't see or smell or taste? Yeah, we can hear, because that's what the commandment says, listen. But how do we cling to something? Well, we cling to that something by clinging to his ways. Okay? I have children. One day, I will depart this great earth, and my children won't be able to cling to me, but they will remember the things that I taught them, and they will cling to those things that I taught them and remember me, and I'll be in the front of their minds because of that. Okay? So, Rashi, cling to his ways as opposed to simply cling to him. Now, this separates the idea of clinging to the observance of the Torah from the idea of clinging in a connection to Yahuwah Elohim by being a reflection of him to the world around us. Why? We asked this question last week. Why do we have the Torah? Anybody remember where we found the answer? Leviticus 11:42. Remember in that word, vekol, that for us to become complete. How do I become complete? Well, I say, I have the Torah. The Torah helped me to become complete. Now, I have a whole bunch of words that I can read them. They don't make me complete. I have to be able to apply them. I have to be able to take action. This is where the second part of what Yahusha is saying becomes so important, that I have to be a reflection of Elohim to the world around me. Okay? So there's a difference from saying that we are Torah observant as opposed to saying that we are in a connected relationship with Yahuwah Elohim that reaches out the influence of Yahuwah to those around us. Whose image and likeness am I made in? I'm made in the image and likeness of Elohim. Not that I look like Elohim, but that I have the mental aptitude of Elohim. I have free will. I can judge. I can make choices. I can decide that this is good and this is not good. Okay? So, this, according to the verse, is something that we must constantly be aware of, considering the phrase, I set before you this day. Now, this is a huge thing. Okay? Because we look at it and say, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. Yada, yada, we're almost done. We're going to get to Simchat Torah. We can roll it and start all over again. Am I absorbing anything? Okay? So the word used for set is noten, that also means to entrust, to devote, to appoint. So from this we can consider that we have been entrusted with the act of connecting to Yahuwah our Elohim in a more intimate way, and we are appointed to be ministers on behalf of Yahuwah Elohim to the world in which we live. This takes us back to Shemot 19. That says, what? If you will shema my voice, if you will shamar my covenant, then you'll be my special treasure. I'll make you a nation of Kohanim. What's interesting about the word noten, okay, to entrust, to devote. But if we look at noten, it's right here on your page, you have two letters nun, and in the center of that is the letter tav. What can we take from that idea if we understand what nun is a reflection of? Nun represents life, the soul. If we look at the Paleo-Hebrew, it's a seed with a root, the continuance of life. That the continuance of life, the continuance of our life, is dependent on our covenant relationship with our Elohim being at its core. Okay? So, if I set before you this day, okay, there we have this word day again, yom, that at every moment that I exist, at every time that I exist, an unspecified amount of time, I must be aware of my relationship with my Elohim by and through the covenant. This becomes a very important idea. And we'll look at that in just a second. So we have been entrusted to act according to the way that Yahuwah Elohim acts and has acted. To this point, we've seen Yahuwah show compassion, provide for needs, become angry while controlling that anger. We've seen Yahuwah show love and support for a people that would not return it back to him. We've been entrusted with the Torah of Yahuwah not simply to observe it in some ceremonial way. Okay, this is something that we need to become aware of. You know, there's a lot of fun things that go along with the feasts and festivals and stuff. But each one of the feasts and festivals are meant to draw us closer in that relationship with our Elohim. It isn't about the celebration in some ceremonial way as much as it is to building that relationship with our Elohim. To become an expression of it to the world around us. We must become an expression of the Torah to the world around us. We have to become an expression of being in the image and likeness of Yahuwah Elohim to the world around us. How do I do that? Well, we go back to what we just considered in Devarim 11:1 that says, Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha, that it is through the word that I love my Elohim, but it's through the word that I extend that love out to the world around me. Okay? I ran off wearing these glasses today, so I'm kind of like they're trifocal, so I feel like the little doggy in the window trying to, okay, which one do I use? I don't know. Okay, it's the one in the middle, so I got to get the angle right. So it's in this way that the two commandments given by Yahusha come into play out in a single act of love towards our Elohim. We love Yahuwah our Elohim with all our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength, only by loving our neighbor as ourselves. I have a Torah. The Torah teaches me how to be in a relationship with my Elohim. But I'm a human being. How do I practice being in a relationship with Yahuwah my Elohim? I get up every morning and I get on my knees and I do the Catholic thing and I practice my relationship with my Elohim by going out into the world around me and loving the people around me. And practice sharing what it is to be in the image and likeness of my Elohim. Okay? This is what separates the blessing from the curse. Consider the Samaritan woman at Yochanan 22. She believed that because she worshipped on Mount Gershom, that she was doing everything that she needed to be done, we may consider that the name Gershim means to be cut off or to be separated from. I can worship in the place that I consider the blessings to have been given, but I'm doing it in such a ceremonial way that I'm actually cut off. Why am I cut off? Let's keep on looking. All of the Torah observance in the book will not bring us into a connected and intimate relationship with Yahweh Elohim if there is no action behind it. Do we believe that all we have to do is be Torah observant in order to have a relationship with Yahweh Elohim? All I have to do is be Torah observant. I have to believe that Yahweh Elohim is Elohim, not have any other deities before him, take time to stop and rest on the Sabbath, love my parents, and then not kill people, steal from them, lie to them, have adultery, or covet what they have, and avoid eating the pulled pork sandwich when I go to the restaurant wearing my mohair jacket and my linen shirt. That's Torah observance. I'm Torah observant. I keep the feasts and the festivals. That's all I have to do. I don't have to do anything else. Where does the relationship part come into play? Because this book is about the relationship. Okay? We'll read in the prophets, eventually we'll get there, that I'm tired of all your ceremonial stuff. I'm paraphrasing. I want you to build a relationship with me. Okay? I'm tired of your new moons and your festivals and all your stuff. Where is the relationship that we have? Okay? So all the Torah observance in the book will not bring us into a connected and intimate relationship with Yahweh Elohim. There's no action behind it. Do we believe that all we have to do is be Torah observant in order to have a relationship with Yahweh Elohim? Yaakov, remember, Jacob, James, tells us that faith without action is useless. What we have to consider from this verse of the Torah portion is that we've been entrusted to act at every moment according to the way that Yahuwah our Elohim acts. We love and worship our Elohim by showing his love to the world around us, by living the Torah, not simply observing it. What is it to live the Torah as opposed to simply observing it? Okay, I observe the Torah. I'm Torah observant. I don't eat the pulled pork sandwich. Great. That's observance. How do I act on the idea of not eating the pulled pork sandwich? I have to understand what it means. That more than not eating the BLT, extra crisp, I strive to not consume the things that encapsulate a lack of morals, a lack of ethics, and I especially strive not to consume things that lack truth. That's the underlying meaning in that particular ordinance. Okay? Topically, sure. I'm not going to eat the barbecue spare ribs. I want my baby back. But underneath it, I understand that I have to act morally, I have to act ethically, and I have to, above all, take action based on truth. Okay? So, let's, we see a difference between simply observing it and living it. Hopefully. We're kind of getting an idea. And this becomes clear in verses 27 and 28. And the blessing, if you shall hearken to the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, which I command you this day. The word hearken in this verse is Shema. If you will, the blessing comes when you are able to perceive, discern, understand, then obey and apply and be content in the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you this day. How do I perceive, discern, understand before I jump off and begin to obey? I have to understand what it says underneath the layers of the onion instead of simply going by what it says on the top. Okay? The top is Torah observance. How to apply that to my life is where I start to peel those layers away. That is to perceive, discern, understand. I take the time not just to read it. I take the time to understand it so that I can be able to apply it, observe it, and ultimately be content in it. Okay? That is the blessing. But there's a dark side. Okay? Verse 27 shows us how to be in the image and likeness of our Elohim. We're applying the word to our lives. We're living the word. Yahuwah Elohim will not go contrary to his Torah. He came up with a brilliant workaround in that he sent Yahusha. Okay? And he actually used his Torah through Yahusha in order to bring the two kingdoms back together. It's brilliant. He used the Torah. Do I understand the Torah enough to be able to apply it to that level, to be in the image and likeness of my Elohim? That's the blessing. 28 is the curse. And the curse, if you will not Shema to the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim. Okay? If you will not Shema to the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim. And it's interesting because it uses the word Elohechem. I'm telling everybody, this is to everyone. You have to decide, everyone. If you will not Shema, if you will not perceive, discern, understand before you apply and observe the commandments, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other deities which you have not known. Okay? How do I stray off course from the word of Elohim? I stray off course because I don't take the time to do what the first part of this says. If you will not Shema. If you're not going to Shema, then you are going to stray off course. If I don't take the time to perceive, discern, understand what it says, I cannot possibly obey it in the way that it's given for me to obey. Not just obey. Overrated word. Apply. Apply. If I'm in the image and likeness of my Elohim, I have to be able to apply this word, not go off on my own ideas of what I think it should say. That's where we come up with dogma. I have doctrines that I cannot prove. I have teachings that I cannot prove. We have a whole bunch of teachings that we cannot prove. We have a whole bunch of doctrines within the two major groups of Christianity and Judaism that have absolutely nothing to do with the Torah, because we've developed them over the years. And somebody got kind of upset when I said, you believe a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. Okay? What is the truth? And that takes us back to what? Not eating the pulled pork sandwich. I have to know what I'm taking in. It takes us back to the question we've been asking over the last year. Why do I believe what I believe? What is the origin of that belief? Okay? So, 28 is where the Yetzer Hara, that evil inclination that we cannot be true. It's because of the Yetzer Hara, that evil inclination that drags us off course towards other deities, whatever a deity may be to you. Deity doesn't have to take the form of a wooden statue. It can take the form of a worry. It can take the form of dogma. Okay? So, in this verse, we're so distracted by the Yetzer Hara that we cannot be a true reflection of our Elohim. How do I become a reflection of my Elohim? How am I in the image and likeness of my Elohim? We go back to Devarim 11:1 that says, Ve'achava et Yahuwah Elohecha. That it's through the Word and through the love of the Word that I become that image and likeness. What is Yahuwah what does Yahusha say? If you love me, keep my commandments. And then Peter, Paul and Mary, no, Peter and Paul, they also say, to love Yahuwah Elohim is to keep his commandments. Okay? To keep, to shamar. And we'll talk about shamar in just a minute. Shamar becomes a very important thing. So the word used for hearken in these verses is shema, that means to perceive, discern, understand, but it also means to apply what it says. The difference in understanding what something means and applying that instruction in the realities of life. To know the difference of what something says and to know how to apply it in the realities of life. The word shema also means to be content. And we have to understand that observing the Torah and putting it into practical application must not be done with heaviness, but rather with joy. If I am hating what I have to do in order to observe and preserve and treasure my covenant relationship with my Elohim, then I'm doing something wrong. Does that make sense? If I hate having to do something that the Torah tells me to do, then I'm being observant for the wrong reasons. Okay? All right. I have to be able to do it with joy, not with heaviness. This then gives us clarity on the first phrase of the Shema stated by Yahusha, and that we must become aware of when we are acting according to the authority of Yahuwah our Elohim, Israel, as opposed to when we are too distracted wrestling against Elohim because we're yielding to what has supplanted his authority in our lives. The words Yaakov. When I do the Shema, remember that first part, Shema Yisrael. Do I perceive, discern, understand? Am I clear on the authority of Elohim in my life? Because this is when I also look at, do I perceive, discern, understand, and am I clear on the things that have supplanted that authority? And then I have to make a choice. Am I willing to change it? Okay? Wrestling with Elohim is supplanted. Moses states this clearly when he says, if you shall not hearken to the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other deities. The issues that we make into deities are unknowns. They give us problems and we bow down to them out of fear of not knowing what we need to do about them. Why don't we know what we need to do about the things that freak us out, wig us out, and stress us out? Because we don't take the time to stop and have a conversation with Yahuwah Elohim. With the one that has in every aspect of our life, in every moment that we live, the power to redeem us, deliver us, restore us, heal us, bring us rest, give us the answers that we need, show us how to apply our relationship to whatever is freaking us out, wigging us out, and stressing us out. Okay? We become so distracted by them that we fail to acknowledge that the source of all the answers is in our midst. Again, goes beyond this idea of, I believe in God. Like I say, I believe that dinosaurs exist in the Amazon. They're probably cooked dinosaurs by now, but it's terrible what's happening in the Amazon. Am I aware that Yahuwah Elohim is present in every aspect of my life, at every moment that I live? There is a mighty force that is present to help me, to listen to me, to give me the answers that I need to these unknowns. Okay? Yahuwah heard the cries of the children of Israel in the bondage of Egypt when they cried out to him, and they stopped crying out to their burdens. Okay? Verse 29. And it shall come to pass when Yahuwah Elohecha, again, personal, intimate thing, shall bring you into the land where you go to possess,